We're happy to have your involvement and feel free in the future to reach out to us. There are no members of the public in the audience, and no one has, outside of the committee members, is registered to speak. So we do have an agenda in front of us, and the next item is roll call. When I call your name, please say here. Nettie Green. Here. Stuart Martins.
Here. Heather
Metz.
Here.
Mary Peck.
Here.
Eric Seward.
Here.
And let me just state for the record that Charlie Garlow, our vice chair, is traveling today. Catherine Bergwin, our secretary. And in a moment, please think about if you're willing to take minutes today. Catherine is at home healing from an accident and a partial hip replacement, and tells me she will be back with us soon, but she's not terribly mobile right now. Monique Buckles is traveling with family, and Kevin Carr has sent a, I'm getting some feedback here, and Kevin Carr has resigned from the committee. It just doesn't fit his work schedule, which includes a lot of travel, apparently. So I want to publicly thank Kevin for his work. He was an original member of this committee. He helped get us up and going and moving forward. And for that, Kevin, if you're listening, we're greatly appreciative of all that you've done to support this process. I will reach out to a recent applicant for the committee, and we will talk about him more in the future, but Charlie and I have reviewed his application and just kind of put it on hold because we already had 10 members. But now that we have a vacancy, we will move forward. So hopefully within the next 60 days, we will have that person join us because there is a procedure to go through, as you know. Thank you all for being here. We do have a quorum if we need to vote among the voting members. Approval of minutes, June 4th, 2021. Thanks to Catherine for very complete minutes. Any questions or discussion of the minutes?
I have a correction.
Yes.
On old business where it was talked about last time in number 6, item number 6, talking about I was going to Stuart to talk to Rise Up about assist with funding cost of placards. It really was to talk to them about being a test case.
Yes.
Because they're not going to fund placards for coffee mill, for instance, or something like that. So it was to have them be a test case.
Yeah. Thank you for that correction. We also want to make sure that Eric's last name is spelled correctly under present. And we'll make sure we get that down in the future, Eric. With those two minor corrections, is there a motion to approve the minutes of June 4th, 2021?
I move that we approve.
Nettie, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Stuart, thank you. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, it looks unanimous, so we don't have to go any further. Thank you all. Speaking of minutes, is there a volunteer in Catherine's place to take minutes today? Would one of you?
I didn't bring anything to write on, so. You want to
Yeah.
We do,
Thank you, Mary.
Piece of paper. That's the only thing holding me back. We can fix that.
we do need minutes. I understand that Catherine has set the bar high. They don't have to be perhaps quite as complete as Catherine's standard, although I greatly appreciate Catherine's
We're gonna
standard.
realize that we missed one.
Here, I'll even give you that.
Yeah.
Mary, thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, Mary.
Mary Beck has,
Thank you, Mary.
with a little pressure, volunteered to take minutes.
Okay.
In terms of update from the chair, Kevin Carr has resigned, as I mentioned. I do have another update or two, but they're going to fit kind of neatly into some agenda items, so I will save it for that. So let's jump right into old business. We have talked about this, but let me read as the agenda states. Old business letter A, update and continued discussion on elimination of single-use plastic products with a focus on plastic straws, plan next steps to include meeting with restaurant owners, managers, review draft table placards, make a decision on the placards, and review funding sources. So that really is what we're gonna do. We'll talk about other single-use plastic products under Agenda B, because it kind of fits more neatly there. So let's focus on table placards. If we can make a decision today on a design, that would be wonderful if we can, and then we need to talk about funding sources, kind of next steps. My memory is that Stuart and Nettie said they would look at designs and share some information with us today.
I like the design that's already been made. It's run by Plastics Delaware, D. Durham. It's already out and about in a lot of places, so therefore, if we were to put it in Rehoboth, it just gives more images of the same thing, which I think would be very effective. The only thing that might change on that placard would be maybe the sponsors, obviously. DENREC does not have funding, has not gotten funding in this legislative session, at least as of the very final date that they weren't going to get it. So we're looking for funding for it, but I think that is a very well done. It was very well thought out, and I don't have any other suggestions. I'm not a design person, so I think they've done a great job with it. I would suggest we use what's already there.
Yeah, I would too, and I haven't had the price somewhere, but I talked to Jan Conacy with Sola 3, and they have been going out, and this echoes, they've been going out and around speaking to people like Big Fish and out on the highway, as well as in here, the bigger, restaurant chains. And their feeling is that they would like not to sponsor this, but to do something like a sticker in the window for restaurants that are not have straws on request, and are using other things like clamshells that aren't, styrofoam and aren't plastic and this type of thing. Also making something of this with the newspaper, with the press. And she said so many people are already doing this already. So they really don't want to sponsor this. She would like to work with us in other ways, and maybe they could go around and talk with restaurants too, like we were thinking of doing. But they were not. It kind of surprised me, but it's okay. They really don't want to sponsor this. I think their feeling was that this was kind of, particularly places like bars and so on, that it would just, they didn't find it that useful. But I still think it's a good idea.
Other comments?
I took that placard actually to Rise Up and got a meeting with the manager, and he liked the idea, and apparently he's got a general manager. I thought he was the go-to person, but he's got a GM out of Maryland, and he was meeting with him. He did not disagree with it. He liked that thing, and he thought that they would play along with us as well and put them up in different places. But then he also informed me that Rise Up's MO in terms of visual imaging is a black and white paper straw sitting up out of their drinks. It's on their website, it's everywhere, and that's when they very started that thing. Obviously it doesn't work with hot drinks, but cold drinks, in which they do a lot of business in. The black and white paper straw is their MO. So I said, oh my God, I didn't know that.
From the day they opened, they never used plastic straws.
Yeah, well, I know that, but it's a black and white paper straw.
How do we know it's paper, not some alternative plant-based,
I can vouch for it. It's
biodegradable
disintegrated.
product?
Yeah, it's at the bottom of it. If you leave it in a drink too long, it will disintegrate. But
So it doesn't have the plastic in the inside.
The straw? No.
Okay,
It's-
because
yeah.
some of those paper straws have like a coating,
Yeah,
on the
no,
inside.
he
And
says.
Denrick was saying these are, really confusing for the recycling.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, yeah, he's, I think that one of the things we may look at doing is going from really trying to find the big restaurant. I mean, just as I was coming down here, I happened to meet somebody that knows the family, the Chagru family, but they didn't know Eric Chagru, who apparently is the person running the Big Fish chain of stuff. But I think it might behoove us to both go big and small and find people, as many people as we can, that would be willing to put these placards out. But we need a funding source, obviously. The price is about $2,000. For 2,000 of them, it was, $900 and some odd dollars. We had that in the last meeting.
okay, I think you said 2,000.
For 2,000, it's 900 and some dollars with the slit in it, not, there's two ways to make that placard. One is with a piece of tape, which is more expensive.
Oh, okay.
The other
And
is a slit, you just put a slit and you
just a
slide the thing in.
Yeah. like
So
a-
I would propose going with the slit
Let's go with the less expensive.
and,
Yeah.
and find a way to get 2,000 of these things made.
Stuart, did you say this is from Plastic Free Delaware? You got this?
That's from Plastic Free Delaware.
Okay.
So on a practical level, if we were to use this model, and I like it as well, would Plastic Free Delaware print these? I mean, they don't do printing, they obviously subcontract this out, but we would need other sponsors on there than these, or would they say just use these?
I would think we could use those. Dee does not have many of those though, so we would have to pay. She gave me the name of their printer. Happens to be a brother-in-law of hers, but that's where they got them made when they get them in. They were looking for the best price as well. So I called him, she gave me their information, and that's where I got the price. An accurate figure, because you have to have the dimensions, everything, and that's the price. And the only thing that would change on it is finding sponsors.
Down here, right.
So we couldn't just leave this as it is.
Oh, you could. Those, I mean, yeah, we could get those made up. Who are the sponsors on there?
It says,
I think,
it's bring your own bag, which,
yeah, it's a Delaware thing.
That's part of Plastic Free Delaware.
okay,
Yeah.
plastic free, the last plastic straw, and I think that's plastics free.
That's plastic.
Then
That's
there's, I'm sorry, my glasses are not that powerful on this last one.
Plastic Pollution Coalition,
So
So it's all, it's all
these.
kind of
Okay.
plastics free Delaware.
and the last
And
plastic straw.
I have no issue doing it if we can't find other funders of printing it just like that. I mean, they're very,
Yeah,
those are large sponsorships, and we might find a sponsorship from Myrrh or something.
and they're also the folks that have been doing, I don't know if you all keep up with the mailings from Plastics Free Delaware, but they've done a whole lot with the state legislature, Plastics Free Delaware, with, styrofoam and with bags and with, these heavier bags. They also have a bill that's going through with the
Yeah,
heavier plastic.
and we'll talk about that shortly.
Yeah.
So would Plastic Free Delaware be interested in donating any of these to us?
She doesn't have any. I have about 10 of them.
Okay. Would they be interested in covering the cost of some?
I'll ask Dee if I don't know. I think
Particularly if they were to leave, all of their
if they're all
their information on it.
on, I'll ask her. I don't know the answer to that.
And is there any possibility that it could come out of city budget?
Might as well ask.
Always worth asking, of course.
I'm a
You don't
taxpayer.
ask, you don't get.
This is true.
Right. I'd be happy to ask the city manager if there's contingency dollars. We do have, like most places, a very specific budget with dollars designated very specifically, but I know that there can sometimes be other dollars available for those things that come up.
And I think whoever donates, be it the city of Rehoboth or whatever, I think if possible, that would be great if it could be on the back. Now, maybe that would make it more expensive. I don't know, to change you know, to change the printing here.
Yeah, there has to be an efficiency of cost in going
That's right,
to
and
the same printer.
the
because they've
same
done these
printer and the
already.
same, yeah,
they've
It's in their
already-
system, it's
they've
in
got
their,
It's in their system, it's in
Yeah.
their
yeah, so
hardware.
it's probably cheaper that way, yeah.
Would they also be able to do, like, to go on the point of what some of the businesses want, a sticker, you know, so that we could have options? I mean, you
Like
make a
on the
sticker.
bar.
Yeah, that would be similar to that, you know, to,
Just a
'Cause I could
round,
see that-
just a round thing.
yeah, that, right. I mean, so you kind of give people that alternative, you know, so we're not, some folks, doesn't sound like they want to do this, right? Use
Or it might even blow off.
this. Right, so,
I mean,
so do
you
we,
know, it might be an outdoor place like Gus and Gus or something, you know, and it
Yeah.
might blow off.
so my point is, could they make a sticker also, you know, so that we can take care of the business,
Yeah.
you know, serve our customers, right? Both ways.
now when we say sticker, are they actually think it's something that sticks? Because most places don't want something that
Yeah,
actually
they're not gonna put something on
sticks,
their-
because
Really?
Not on their
it's, they're,
table.
Well,
Because then they can't clean
Yeah.
it.
Well, I meant maybe at the front window, like
Yeah.
where you see,
That's not.
is that what they were looking for, or?
Yeah,
I don't-
front window is not
That's what
point of sale.
Sola,
Point of sale is right when the menu is there, right at the table. That's point of sale. Point of sale when you're walking in the door is, that's not point of sale. That's not the.
Well, you,
unless you're
But-
at Gus and Gus
Right,
kind
it
of
depends on the
place.
restaurant, right? If it's a sit-down restaurant, the point of sale's at the table. Otherwise, if it's grottos and you're ordering at the counter, it should be the cash register, so.
or Thrasher,
But
it
you
should
should
or
have
ice
two
cream.
options.
Yeah.
Yeah, ice cream.
it should be some way of communicating that, hey, we don't, you know, we don't want to give you straws unless they ask for it, right? So that's, I mean,
That's a good point, and also if Sola, if they are willing to do something, we should let them do it. I guess it would be good to
yeah.
get, you know, clear what is it they're willing to do.
I think they're seeing what we're doing too.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, she says she wants to work with us,
Yeah.
and Sola wants to work with us. It's just they decided that
They
this-
don't like, she doesn't want to do these, but,
It's not so much she doesn't want to as they're taking a different tack, kind
Yeah.
of, yeah. So, so
So,
I should have put it differently.
okay, so to step back a little bit, we're agreeing to this design,
Yes,
okay?
I think so.
Okay, I don't think we need a motion on that, then
Yeah.
we're all, everyone's shaking their heads, and you've done,
Yeah, looks
done the research
Unanimous.
and the
I
legwork.
love that logo.
You know, it's out there, like you say,
Turtles.
it's been created, so we don't have to
Turtles.
recreate.
That's right.
It's in a number of restaurants in Delaware.
Okay. Yeah.
So, next steps in terms of funding. Stuart will check with Dee
Finding a funding source.
and see if there's a possibility there. Does somebody want to talk to Mur? Are you, somebody is on their board, right?
not me.
No. All right.
I can,
Is Catherine might be on their board.
I think she is
I
connected
think
with
she
them.
is, and
I
I
don't
need
know
to,
if she's on their board, but she's she's a
Yeah.
volunteer there.
I
So
will-
Catherine, if you are listening, you know, we'll check in with me later if you're willing to talk to Mur, and if that's not appropriate, let us know, and
yeah. whatever
we
else
will
to
do that.
Mhm.
Who else do we want to check with?
Whoever's in charge of the funding at the city.
Denrec is out. I asked them.
Denrec is
Check with
definitely
Denrec.
out,
I
yeah.
asked them.
They really don't have a lot of money.
They intimated they might, but they didn't.
Yeah,
It's a very convoluted process to get a grant from the state, like just for something that we call, you know, it has to, they already have to have the money approved and then we apply, but.
And it could take 6 months
Yeah.
or 12 months.
12 months at least.
Yeah,
Their monies were budgeted probably
Yeah,
in
right.
March
Right.
last year.
yeah, and their grant programs come and have long windows.
Yeah.
Well, we're looking for 900 and what, some
I
dollars.
think it's
Well, say $1,000,
925. I thought it,
900
925, I
Yeah,
think.
it's just under $1,000.
Yeah,
Okay.
Maybe there's a bank somewhere that will donate, like Community Bank or something like that.
I could talk to M&T. We bank with M&T. I could talk with him. I don't know, that's not just a state thing, though. Should be something that's within the state.
What about a local realtor?
Yeah,
Yeah, someone
they
who's.
do give a lot of
yeah.
money to the community.
Yeah, they do. I
Yeah.
mean, so I don't know whether
Yeah.
it's Debbie Reed or Lingo or,
Yeah, this would be a one-time thing, right?
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
get their name on it, right, too,
Yeah.
right? We'll put
That's
their-
actually a good idea.
I'll talk to Lingo.
And no one entity has to come up with $900 or $1,000.
Maybe two or three.
If they each put in 200 or 300 or more, I mean, we could get there pretty quickly.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
And I suspect, you know, once we say we've got the funding, the printer can turn this around very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And I suspect even if we, let's say, for example, that MER gives us some money, I mean, we can get their logo on there, I assume, very quickly, because MER can send that off to
Yeah,
you
they-
or a printer,
Yes,
and,
they know how to do that.
yeah. So all of that can happen quickly.
So we're not, like, if we speak to a realtor like Lingo's, we're not offering Lingo's name on the back.
I think we would.
Yeah, we would,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
absolutely, yeah. they
Yeah.
would
Okay.
change
Yeah,
Not,
Okay.
not verbiage, but,
Uh,
whatever their
their
little logo
logo.
is. just
Okay.
say
Something
these
like
are
sponsored
logos.
by whatever.
Okay. Okay.
Sure, and,
Okay.
if you think of another realtor or entity in town, I mean, by all means, if something occurs to you after today's meeting,
Okay.
don't hesitate to
Okay.
ask.
well,
'Cause-
Remax is a big company, they, it's not just local, like kind of Lingo
Right.
is. Remax probably, then you're capturing all the Remaxes, not Debbie Reed, but so you might be able to go to someone like that and check with Remax. I don't know.
Would you be willing to do that, Eric?
I can, yeah,
That'd be
my
great.
wife works for Remax, so.
Okay.
Oh,
There you go. That's-
Great, thank you.
So it's one way of looking at it that way.
okay, so our charge was plan next steps to include meeting with restaurant owners, managers. Seems like we probably don't want to do that till we
Till we have
have
it.
this in hand,
That's right.
right?
Yeah, I think we'd want to have,
Yeah,
The
because
funding.
then it's real, then we
Mhm.
Yeah.
have something to give them.
But I guess the sticker, Eric, just isn't, because people need to clean off their counters. And
Well, I was thinking more of, you walk in the front door, you give that option, like you see this is smoke-free, it started way back when and,
Right,
or
or just draws one
disabilities,
request on
or,
it.
you see those. I'm just, I was just trying to accommodate the folks that have a small bar table and you get,
Doesn't
and you
look
get
as
two
good, but-
meals, and you're not really gonna want that sitting there.
Save us a lot of money,
right?
sticky
Yeah.
necks.
yeah, I think Heather's idea of just stick it on the window.
That's, yeah. There-
I
there you
mean-
go.
I mean,
That's-
seriously.
yeah.
Professional looking, but it's
Seriously,
better
we
than-
could give several of them to each restaurant, and
Sure, I
if
mean-
if it's an ice cream place, I mean, if it's or a place, that just serves right up there, just put it on the window.
Yeah.
Tape
So
it
this
on.
could be used in multiple ways, that's the discussion we'll have with the
Uh-huh.
restaurant.
Right, right.
Yeah,
They could figure it out, maybe.
Right.
Yeah, that's all I'm trying, I don't think I want to put it on the table, but my thought was
Yeah, and
somewhere,
it's,
say,
it's just if we made a sticker, there'd be that much more, printing and, going to a different source to make the sticker, So,
so and it was pretty clear in your discussion with SOLA 3 that they're gonna go their own direction. We don't need
yeah,
to go back to them.
Right, no.
We shouldn't go back to
no,
them
I
at
don't
this
think we
point.
should at this point.
Okay, yeah, no,
Yeah,
they do tremendously good work.
Yes, they
and,
do. They
they've
certainly
got a
do.
board of directors that is doing well. They raise money, they have
Mhm.
membership. And so anything they do, anything we do complements each other and
and they're
supports
very,
each other.
very supportive of
Yes.
anything that we do, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So we have a plan going forward. Can we come back to our early August meeting with probably specific information on this.
Hopefully some funding.
And if you find opportunities that are specific, email them into me. And again, you know, we can't do general discussion on email, but if you each send into me, if RE/MAX says, sure, we'll give $200, we'll have our little logo on there, just send me a note.
Okay.
And, you know, and we'll see where we get. And $1,000 should not be that difficult.
No,
You have a couple people?
Yeah, great. Okay, good. Thank you, very good discussion. Thanks for your homework and coming prepared. So letter B under old business is continue discussion and bring your own bag and next steps. Let me talk a little bit about what's happened in the legislature. You're probably all as up to date as I am, but it gives a very different spin to this, at least it will in a year. And then we can talk on that. So the General Assembly, you know, as you all know, adjourned about a day and a half ago. And several important bills were passed. And HB 212 passed the State Senate on the 29th of June. And this has to do with single-use plastic bags. It has not been signed by the governor yet, but there's every reason to believe the Governor Carney will sign this very soon. So this closes the big loophole in the current law. The current law is, you know, it allows plastic bags greater than 2.25 mils thick. And almost everywhere we go now, they still put things in plastic bags that are just thicker, heavier plastic bags, and it just makes it worse. It's really, it's been a disincentive to what the purpose was, because then you end up with all these, and research that Dee and other groups have done shows that very few people are repurposing and reusing those. Very few are being recycled, so it's just heavier plastic going in to the trash than used to. And so this closes that loophole. Hopefully it's going to begin to change kind of this throwaway mindset and mentality that is way too prevalent out there. It also expands this new law to all size stores. So our downtown retailers now will fall under this. This will go into effect, but not for a year. July 1, a year from yesterday, July 1, 2022. Okay. But it will impact every retailer and every store here in the city of Rehoboth Beach, not just the big, large retailers. And the stores that will be giving out some of the so-called approved plastic bags. For example, if you buy fresh meat or fish products, those will go into those thin plastic bags. Those stores will be required to have a plastic recycling bin inside of their establishment, and then appropriately have that plastic picked up by an entity that claims to recycle it.
Very good, wonderful.
So, you know, that you know, moves us out a year, but that's a big thing for us. Something we've been talking about, we've been
That's very good.
frustrated by, we've, you
That's
know,
fantastic.
That's the whole state.
yeah, and that's statewide. Let me just mention a couple other things that came out of the legislature, then we can come back to this item. The whole balloon release thing, Senate Bill 24 passed, and balloons now are classified as littering, which makes it illegal. So people that are releasing balloons now can be seriously fined under the littering. And the folks that have been pushing for this are saying that this was a big step.
Fantastic.
It appears that there will be several new funding sources for recycling grant programs. There's not been grant money for this for a while, for recycling. And it makes me particularly excited for our city of Rehoboth Beach, because that could get us back into it. And it looks like this is going to include recycling of electronic devices, which has been so difficult for people. You know, we all have these things that wear out, old cords, all these plug-in things, in particular if you have kids, or like I've got grandsons that come and then they'll leave. I don't want this anymore, it's old, it's electronic, I can't throw it away. And so, you know, we stash these things waiting. So it looks like, this will happen. It's under Senate Concurrent Resolution 56. So I don't have any more information on it, but it sounds positive. Senate Concurrent Resolution 56. The bill that would expand the ban to polystyrofoam clamshells, Senate Bill 134 and Senate Bill 140 did not pass, but they weren't killed on the floor. They're still alive in committee. And I think it was because, one, they ran out of time. There just wasn't the will to move these through, but they kept them. The backers kept them so that they're alive. They can go right into the next legislative session, it sounds like, to me. So, that's all good news.
Yeah.
Is there a possibility for Rehoboth Beach to apply for this grant for recycling?
Well, once that information comes out, we don't know when it's gonna come out. I don't know the specifics of that.
Okay.
You're saying that it's being proposed?
Yeah, well, the information I read out of a legislative brief was that there will be new funding sources for recycling grant programs. How soon, if that's coming through DNREC, I'm not sure, I suspect so.
I would think. It would.
But I don't know how soon.
Well, one
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
I would think that, now we have Evan Miller, and he's kind of our person that keeps track of this kind of stuff. He applies for grants and he's good at that, and I guess you should make sure that he should pursue any opportunities and keep track of any opportunities for that kind of, I know he's already gotten a recycling grant a year ago from Delmarva. So as long as he knows to follow this stuff and apply for it, I think that's the way to go with that.
Good point.
Evan is very good
Yeah.
at that, and we had a commissioners meeting all morning. I've been in here since 8:30 this morning. So when we had an opportunity for commissioner updates, I kind of went through this litany that I just went through now, and I prefaced that by saying I want Evan and our director of public works, Kevin, to take note and to try to get information and begin to follow this, so that we can get on it as a city, assuming it fits for us, and I hope it will. So the other item on the bring your own bag is that I did see Sally Foreman this morning. She's the executive director and president of SOLA 3. And she happened to be in our meeting and to talk about something on her agenda that fit ours. And then I ran into her outside afterwards. And she said that SOLA 3 funded a lot of cloth bags, reusable bags, that bring your own bags. And one of their board members is storing quite a few of these. And so they're just kind of looking for and waiting for an opportunity to kind of roll these out.
Oh,
And maybe to give them to retailers,
sure.
Fantastic.
give them. So, I mean, that'd be
Fantastic.
something if they're interested, we could support, we could promote, we could help them with
Right.
if they want.
Right.
So it may be something to talk to Jan about. I mean, you've got good
That's
communication going with Jan.
And maybe
Connessy.
when we're taking these around, we could just mention that and, that, I don't know.
Yeah.
But if we don't have them, I mean, we'd need to have them in hand.
SOLA 3 is doing good work, and they are just looking for the right time and opportunity to do this.
Great.
And they don't do any good sitting in somebody's
Yeah.
basement or garage.
Nope.
Now,
And so this may be the opportune time now,
yeah.
going toward a year from now.
Now, HB 212, when does that go into effect next?
July 1 of 2022.
2022, okay.
So a year from yesterday.
Okay, well, I think, just occurs to me that, as far as the education that DNREC might be doing to now all the new businesses that are gonna be covered that weren't previously, that maybe these bags could be rolled out with something, an education program. And our smaller businesses, I don't know what they're gonna do as far as working with DENREC to make sure they understand and are up to speed, but we should kind of keep a track of
Sure.
what is the plan for that.
Well, they have 12 months to get up
Yeah.
to speed, to use up the inventory, to make sure they don't over
Yeah,
purchase for their inventory.
Mhm.
And I'm sure some will start long before that July 1 date.
right.
So are businesses being informed? I mean, in case they don't read about this, are they being informed?
Well, they've got a full year now, Nettie,
Yeah,
to be informed.
okay. So
Remember, the
I-
legislature just adjourned
Yeah.
at,
I would think
midnight
they'd
or
be
so, a couple days ago. So
Yeah,
all
yeah.
of this is brand
Okay.
new. The governor's not signed it yet even,
Okay,
so it's
okay.
not technically,
Yeah,
Law,
it's not
but-
official yet.
I'm
Yeah.
sure all the manufacturers of the bags are also paying attention
Yeah.
to the legislation. All
Right.
those people up there in Wisconsin making all that stuff are
Yeah.
probably going, oh, Delaware's
Yeah.
gonna need some.
yeah.
And the Chamber
yeah,
of Commerce
yeah.
is
I'm
probably
sure-
watching it too.
Yeah, so
That,
this,
that end will help.
yeah, so
From
I
what I
think,
understand with the first wave, with the bigger businesses, there wasn't a problem with educating them as much as the connection with the customer. And so, like, the supermarkets all knew, they all knew they had to do this thing. But then when it started, the public was like, where are the bags, so. So that was the missing piece, and I don't know, I hope DENREC will figure out a better way to
Well,
make sure the customers know, but.
yeah, I spoke with both Adam and with Don, who are the
Yeah.
DENREC people, and they said very definitely every single business knew.
Yeah,
It didn't get down to the
Employees.
cashiers, it didn't get to the employees.
yeah,
But
so
it was
hopefully we can do
not-
better this time.
the people that are
I'm
on the
not
front
sure,
line.
I don't think it was DENREC's fault. I think DENREC really
Yeah,
did a very good job getting things out, but it didn't happen with businesses.
Well, let's hope lessons learned from that
Yeah.
experience and now,
Mhm.
going forward, and they've got, months.
well, it might be something
this.
for us to consider whether we would have a role in educating our tourists and visitors about the plastic bags and the fact that they're not, they have to bring their own bag. And I'm not sure what our role could be, but
That brings me back to the realtors, which
Yeah.
most of the visitors are coming, a lot of them anyway, are either renting a house or staying in a hotel, right?
yeah,
So I know from previous times we've rented with Lingo, they did give you, well, I think it was a heavy plastic bag, but that would be something really to work with the realtors on. Are
Yeah.
they willing to give you, because they give you all those advertisements and stuff,
Right,
a nice grocery bag
That's a
with a
great
little
idea.
note that
that's a good
says,
idea.
we're
The
a bag-free.
and also
here's your bag.
put the information and maybe it would be a sola bag that they're trying to roll out. They
Well, I'm
probably,
sure the realtors want to have their own logo on the
Realtor
bag.
could have one,
Yes,
the realtors,
yes.
actually they do, like, Jack Lingo has a bag that they put their stuff in.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do
They
that
do.
already. I don't know if all of them do it, but
Yeah, and so, but put something in about,
with just a little note that says, don't
Yeah.
forget your bag.
Yeah.
'cause
Yeah,
You're not
right.
gonna get one
Yeah.
at the
Here's
store.
one for you.
Or
Yeah.
here's
Here's your
one
first
for
one.
you.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
The chamber has a bag they give out to everybody that moves into the state as well,
Oh,
into
okay.
this area.
Mhm.
So the local chamber has a bag that they put out about 500 a year that people can participate in. So that's a way of educating people just brand new coming into the state who just bought a house.
Mhm.
So they have
yeah, so,
plus
yeah.
the chamber websites and
It's
the
a
Main
heavy
Street.
plastic bag they give
I
out.
wonder if the hotels would be
right
willing
now
to
it
do
is.
something
Is
like
they're gonna eliminate the heavy plastic
Oh.
bags, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe some of the bigger hotels might be willing to do something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, and what about at our transit? I think of areas where everyone comes in, like the parking transits, the
Yeah.
Lewis and Rehoboth, so do we talk to them about, I don't know, you can purchase your bag there, right? Because everyone jumps on those, or going to
Yeah,
a restaurant
yeah,
and going
sure.
somewhere, so,
yeah.
I don't, who runs those, the Lewis and Rehoboth bus terminals? Is that
I think
Del-
the Dart,
Del Dot or Dart?
Dart,
So I mean, having, like, buy your bag here, right, or,
Yeah.
for 50, I don't know. But that's,
Yeah.
they're the people, the real
Yeah, that's
coming
a good
in,
idea.
Yeah, you're right, Eric. Well, the really helpful thing about this now is that it's not one municipality or a couple,
Right.
it's statewide.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Which is
right.
So
fantastic.
That's
This helps
really
us so much,
It's fantastic.
that no matter where people are coming from,
Yeah.
It's the same here as, you know, if they live, you
In
know, in
DC, the
Wilmington.
DC, or the DC,
right.
Northern Virginia area.
Right. So this
Yeah.
is very, very helpful.
Yep.
So I think, other than figuring out how we support this and help, I don't think we have to worry about our bring your own bag
Right, right.
campaign, other than how it fits into this now.
Yeah,
Mhm.
And, you know, hopefully in the coming months, it'll become clear maybe how we can be supportive and helpful on this.
And I also want to mention the fact of our children and our Rehoboth Elementary School, which is just being very cooperative. And Jackie Kisiel, who I've talked with, said that she would be willing to work with us with her curriculum all the way through the year, this next year. And my feeling is it would be just fantastic for just kind of personal practices that we can do, bringing our own bag, recycling, and it's coming from the kids, kind of what I learned in kindergarten, you know? And this could even be inserted in Chamber of Commerce and in, you know, coming from realtors and this type of thing. These are our children. This is what they're suggesting. We are very green in Rehoboth Beach, you know, and these are, and it could be from the children.
Nettie, I was gonna call on you a little later in your comments, but because you brought up Rehoboth Elementary School and Jackie as the science instructor and coordinator, why don't you give us a little story about what you and I and all those kids and the teachers did just a couple of weeks ago?
Well, you probably read about it in the newspaper, way back on the education. Did you read it in the Cape Gazette? There were some pictures if you went way back to the end of the Cape Gazette. The children in the 5th grade, and thanks to both Dick and me responding very, very quickly on a dime, because we had to do this without benefit of all the commissioners, and Dick was so fantastic. Thank you, Dick, about responding and getting in touch with people you needed to, you know, Public Works and so on. So the kids at Rehoboth Elementary School in the 5th grade made posters about recycling. And there were about 100 children that walked with us at the end of school. We walked all the way from the elementary school and came, and they presented these posters and told the adults of us who were there what they had learned. Each of them, Jackie Kisiel said, you know, tell them what you have learned, and they were very, very precise about what they'd learned, and the posters are wonderful. And we put them on the inside of the barricades, coming up Rehoboth Avenue and also on Baltimore. I don't know if there are any on any other streets, but
Yeah, there are some in Wilmington and
some on Wilmington
Baltimore.
and Baltimore and Rehoboth Avenue, just the part nearest the beach, not all the way up. But of course they're small, they're laminated, and hopefully next year we can have them be bigger. The unfortunate thing is that there are no recycling bins on the boardwalk or on the beach to put things in. So there are all these very specific things on the posters that the children put, and that was difficult. I think that was difficult for her and for all of us, the fact that that has not happened. So anyway, I mean, add to what
You said it well, Nettie. Nettie played an incredibly important role in this, in coordinating with the school and getting the kids, and we did a photo op one day with all the kids holding their posters up, and then several came back the next week to help put them up, and it was wonderful.
it was
And
wonderful.
I think, you know, just great for the kids.
Oh, it was
It's
fantastic.
great. I mean, they love
Yeah.
being down at City Hall, getting out of school for a little time, but
Taking a
showcasing.
walk,
And the
it's a
fact
beautiful
that-
day.
The fact that newspaper people and a television person were there, I think that said something to the kids. Wow, these adults
Yeah.
care about what we've done, what we've been learning about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she is also willing to go across the curriculum. In other words, bring in other things like how you can affect things politically, the channels that you need to go through, and even in 5th grade. And I think this is part civics education, what it is to be a citizen, and how you can make a difference. And so I really think it's a good connection, and she's just amazing, and the children are too. So, thank you, Dick.
Thank you, Nettie.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. I'm watching the time, and because we're on a Friday afternoon going into a holiday weekend, we're very short-staffed in City Hall, as you might guess. And so we are going to be cut off right about 3 or within a couple of minutes after 3 today. And then hopefully at our August meeting, we can do an hour and a half kind of a meeting. So I'm going to suggest something on the agenda, but agree or disagree as you might. The climate action plan, I think deserves some focused attention, and Charlie Garlow has been very involved with this. Mary's been involved. I shared both of their very thoughtful and helpful memos with you, and I'd like to move that to the August meeting where we really say we're going to take 30 minutes of our meeting and just focus on this.
Thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially since Charlie's
Yes.
not here.
Thank you. And that's the other thing I was going to say, and we want Charlie at the table for that discussion. The other thing that I said a month ago that I would do, and I did not, I apologize, is get one of our DENREC people here. And it just got past me. Just too much else going on, I guess. So I actually asked Nettie in an email yesterday if she would be willing to reach out to one of these
I'd be
gentlemen
glad to.
and see if we can get one of those two gentlemen here for the August meeting. And, that could easily be a 15, 20, 25-minute kind of discussion.
Oh, it could be an hour.
Well, it could be.
Stuart
I'm thinking
knows-
if we can take an hour and a half, we can do at
Yeah.
least a half hour on climate, at least about
Yeah.
30 minutes with DENREC. And then I also want to make sure that, we start with this, that we get back to, okay, where are we at? Do we have the funding? Can we move this to the printer? And where are we going to be? And so that this doesn't just continue to linger and linger and linger. Okay, so that's what I'm envisioning for our August meeting.
And you're hoping to get it 90 minutes next month? Okay.
Right.
Great,
Right.
great.
Right, so in the next 12, 13 minutes, I'd like to give, under committee member comments, just a couple of updates from me, and then a brief intro to something from Mary to talk about, and then we can all talk about it if we want. So the two things that I want to mention, and this doesn't really deserve, or it deserves, but it doesn't really need any more discussion, but if you didn't see the work that we did on dark skies concept did in about a week ago at the June 18th commissioners meeting become a formal resolution in front of us. And after, it had been discussed off and on for a while, and we fed into that as an environment committee, the Boardwalk and Beach Committee fed into it, and then you remember the slide presentation from Frank and Kate and Jan. And so between another commissioner and myself, Jay Legree and myself, we kept talking to the mayor. The mayor went ahead and moved a resolution in front of us, and this passed unanimously.
Fantastic.
So this is now, and you can see that I've written on it because we had a couple of little amendments to it, that it applies for parks, boardwalk, and streets in the city of Rehoboth. So those were the two kind of friendly amendments to clarify this. But this is formal. This became signed off after being passed. And so thanks to a few entities, but certainly thanks to all of you for, your good work, your discussion on all of this. And I don't see this as the total end of this, but I see this as a big beginning
Definitely.
for our city to
Well, it's
move this
gonna need
ahead.
some funding
Yes.
to make it actually happen.
Yes,
But
yes.
This is a great first step.
Yes, but it even came up today as we talked about some lighting on the boardwalk
Great.
and how when things get changed,
Mhm.
this is what drives the change. This is
Good.
the definition now of going
Fantastic.
forward with our public lighting. So,
Great.
yeah.
So at
that's-
first, it might be the light bulbs, and then maybe different types of poles and
yes.
that type of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I want to mention one other thing. This came not specifically, at least it didn't come to me specifically as a letter to the Environment Committee, but it came to me from one of our citizens in town, a very thoughtful comment and letter. I guess it was initially sent to Charlie because she was under the understanding that Charlie was the chair. But so I just want to say this is a future agenda item for us. And it basically, I won't read it, but it's from Sturgis Dodge, a very activist and thoughtful and committed citizen here in town. And she raised the concern about the increased use of pesticides being sprayed on private property. That we all see all the ads on TV, on the local TV programming. If you just watch in the neighborhoods, you see the vans out spraying many yards, quote, for mosquitoes and ticks. And, in the sense, the point is, wouldn't it be wonderful if that spray killed only mosquitoes and ticks on your yard? But the letter raises the issue that it's killing all insects. And that brings about two big concerns. One is, what is that doing to our pollinators? So it's killing them if they get impacted by this. And then I also brought this up to the Animal Issues Committee a week ago because it's also killing a huge food source for our songbird population, which is so critical to the environment.
Yeah.
We need those insects and those bugs out there to keep our birds alive. We need the pollinators, for all the right reasons. And so this is becoming a bigger concern. And so the Animal Issues Committee is going to do some research on it. And I just wanted to come in front of us, but I wanted to bring it up to do justice to Sturgis Dodge's letter to us. The fact that we acknowledge it as an important topic.
It's very important.
Just as a comment, I
Sure.
know that this was kind of on our original list of things that we wanted to address, and I think Mary and I had each done a little bit of work on it, but then kind of other things took over and it never really went anywhere. But I think mostly because we didn't really know where to go with it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I think the Animal Issues Committee is interesting, for sure.
Yeah.
Because, again, I wanted to push it forward, and I think you did too, Mary,
Yeah.
but we didn't really know what the right venue was or where to go with it.
We had definitely talked about the city's use of pesticides, and we wanted to find out what the city uses, and just, try to make some kind of policy to kind of minimize it. And I think, Heather, you might have even talked to somebody who, on the city staff about what they use, but we didn't really take it much further.
Well, there was some discussion about what Montgomery County has done, because they do have restrictions on what people can put on their private property, and they work through some of the landscaping companies to sort of give guidance and administer that. But their website is fantastic. It's so extensive to distill that down to something that would work for us would be a huge project. And again, not really knowing where to go with it, but Montgomery County was a great resource as far as what you should do and what you shouldn't do. There's no reason for us to recreate that. All the resources are there. Even if we don't use Montgomery County, there are other organizations that have already done the work. It's just a matter of figuring out how to implement it and figuring out what authority the city would have to tell landscapers and to tell homeowners what you can and can't use. I mean, they did it in Montgomery County, so it can be done. But again, we probably need some more guidance on
Yeah,
what
and
the
there's
best way
also,
to
it's
go.
kind of like a broader issue with landscaping practices and using things that are lower maintenance, that don't require as many chemicals, and just a whole different thought process about not trying to have a big green lawn, especially here at the beach where it's really hard to do, you know, in terms of irrigation, chemicals, and everything else. And you know, we just had the fish kill. I think that was a bit shocking.
Yeah.
And they're attributing that to fertilizers
Mhm.
versus pesticides. So
Both are on the Montgomery
Yeah.
County
yeah,
thing, and
so
both should be addressed.
I don't know what our role would be with private property other than educational stuff, and maybe we could look into whether the city itself could, by ordinance, control some of it. I'm not sure what our legal
Definitely
authority
something
would be,
to
but
look at.
So
yeah.
this will likely then be a topic on our September
Yeah.
agenda, and it's gonna
Sure.
take some discussion.
It's pretty
I
complicated.
do have an article, but I'm gonna save it because it'll be relevant then. And you can all, in anticipation, dig out other information if you like, but this is from the National Wildlife Federation, what you need to know before spraying for mosquitoes. But let's, you know, dig around a little bit and see
But I
what we
think-
can come up with.
Yeah, I think the fertilizers too is just very important because we're next to the ocean and we have lakes and, I mean,
Right.
it's just, yeah.
Yeah, very important, yeah.
So one last topic for the day,
Yeah.
and that is, you've all seen, because of the work we did around 5G and small cells, and that translated into a change in the city's ordinance for us, and then what's going on in Dewey right now, and Mary brought that up a few days ago, and I said, we'll give you a few minutes to talk about it, and
Yeah,
so Mary,
yeah.
please.
Heather, I'm
I'm
good.
sorry.
No
I'm
worries,
sorry.
it's okay.
I was wondering
So
So I
whether.
don't know if you guys can see this on camera.
Yeah, thanks, Heather.
So and I'll try not to be redundant because you guys might have already read about it in the Cape Gazette. There were 2 articles
Yeah.
recently. So 2 big things are going on. One is this new organization called SaveDeweyBeach.org, which I really encourage you to go there. It's a great website. You can subscribe. You can find out about the celebratory protests that we're having. And everybody take a stack of these, please. Take as many as you like and give them out. That's going to be on July 5th at the end of Rodney Street, I believe. And yeah, pass those out for sure. Yes, at the end of the beach end of Rodney Street, there's going to be food and flying over airplanes with messages, and it should be a really, really great event. T-shirts will be available if anybody wants them. I have an extra yard sign. If anybody would like to put their yard sign up in their yard, you can talk to me after the meeting. I'll have an extra yard sign. But so the movement is wonderful, and the movement is to get some of the poles that have been put on the beach off the beach. And in the news, apparently, 2 of our state senators actually agree with the cause that has been championed by this organization. And there have been some discussions, and Verizon is apparently talking with Delmarva Power, and they figured out how they can get some of those poles off the beach. In addition to that, and I want to make sure I get his name correctly. There's another a lawsuit that's headed up by Alex Piers. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing his right. Piers. And just yesterday it came out that a judge has actually granted an injunction saying that Verizon may not put any more poles on the beach until this issue is resolved. So that is a really good sign that the courts were willing to take action and that they were willing to do something, which means that they have a case, right? That there is some validity to the complaint. And the complaint is mostly that they didn't respect our natural resources. They didn't respect the sanctity of our beaches. They didn't follow proper permitting processes, and that was why that decision, we think that decision came down. So cheers to, who would have thought Dewey Beach would be the one to head this up, but cheers to Dewey Beach
Yes.
for their great work and
Well, the
their
thing about
great
Dewey was
organization.
that versus ours are already on existing poles on the boardwalk, and what Verizon did to Dewey was stick these poles up on dunes that had nothing on them.
But I think that part of the problem is Dewey, and I'm going to bring this up for us as well if we have time, is the look of the poles. I mean, there was
Yeah.
no there was nothing given to aesthetics at all. I mean, the pole is literally as cheap and as terrible looking as it can possibly be. So I don't know if you guys look at what's going on around town, but right now, if you go to the end of 2nd Street where it crosses Rehoboth Avenue, there's a light pole there that has an original AT&T cell transmitter on top. You almost wouldn't know it's there. All of the guts are within the pole. There's a little access panel, and the can that's on top, you wouldn't even know it's there. So we know that they can make these things aesthetically to blend in with our surroundings. But what they've done in the last year is put up, has anyone seen the one that's in front of at Laurel Street in Bayard, or the one that's across from the Belmore Inn? There's one across from, what's the Rehoboth Outreach, I can't remember the name of it, on the street behind Rehoboth Ave. There's a bunch of them that have gone up, and there's been no attention paid to aesthetics whatsoever. And one thing I would like to bring up to the city, and I don't know, maybe you can share with me the best way to do this, is to make sure that all of those poles that have been up meet the permit requirements that they were installed under. So I suspect that some of them are taller than the 10% taller than any surrounding poles that they're allowed to be. They also, all of them have exposed wires, which they're not permitted to have exposed wires. So I just would caution the city that in anything going forward, you know, you approve that permit on paper and you assume that they're going to build what is there, and that's not what I see happening. And in addition, we are entitled, as Michael Strange has said, and I'm sure you've heard him, we are entitled to require certain aesthetics, and we need to do that up front. And we need to make sure that these poles that they're putting up now, we need to make sure it stops. And these guys are great inspiration. I think we have the grounds to do that, but we need to do better here in Rehoboth, because what's gone up in the last 6 months is not the standard for Rehoboth that should be met.
Heather, thanks for sharing. I am watching the time.
Yeah.
And Ann is here to help close us down. But I can tell you that just this morning in the commissioners' meeting, we spent a lot of time with Verizon folks. And the discussion was all about moving the poles off of the boardwalk and west of the boardwalk. And there seemed to be strong consensus that we will not have them, with few exceptions, and maybe the only exception where we've got the tall light poles with a volleyball is played, but the rest are going to go, it sounds like. Now, we didn't have a conclusive final discussion on this, but there seemed to be consensus that to get them off of the boardwalk and at least west of the boardwalk.
Well, and I just would, again, caution that wherever they go, they should meet that original standard of as well disguised and as well built as the one that's on that corner.
What you should do is go on and look at the agenda for the commissioners meeting this morning. It's embedded, the Verizon report is embedded in there as a slideshow.
Okay,
And
they've
you
got
can go
pictures
through
and
and look.
diagrams and things.
Yeah, it has
Great, fantastic.
exact photos of the 12 that they're proposing.
Okay.
At one time, they were proposing 18 along the boardwalk. They've reduced it to 12 now, and there's exact photos of
I
that.
think
But what's going on here, thank you for
Yes,
sharing.
that's good stuff. Please
this-
come.
the
and
celebration that's
Yes.
going on.
Fantastic, thank you.
And our next meeting is, I believe it's August 5th, the first Friday of August. We will be back, as far as I know, at the 10 a.m. time. We will allow for an hour-and-a-half meeting then, and we'll hopefully get the few people that are away on holiday back with us. And with that, I'm going to adjourn the meeting. Thank you all for being here, and those that are watching. And Ann, thank you and your team for your support today. And we stand adjourned at